Yep, I can see it.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to our session on SkyUX Modern Visual Theme for SkyUX add-ins. I'm Adam Funderburk. I'm a UX designer with the SkyUX team here at Blackbaud. I'm joined by Carrie Campbell, our product manager on the SkyUX team. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about for 20 minutes, so we're just going to jump right in. Now, if you're in this session, you probably already know a little bit about what SkyUX is. It's the design system that we use at Blackbaud with our scalable, reusable design patterns and component library to help design and build our products. And we know our developers and partners use it as well in building stuff for add-ins and applications. In this session, we're going to talk about the background and the benefits of the new modern visual theme, some of the design practice behind it, the rollout of how it's kind of emerging now into Blackbaud products and how it's being adopted, and the impact for you, our audience, for supporting it, staying up to date with it, and how you can take advantage of it in the future. To start off, SkyUX has been around for a long time, nearly 10 years now in some places. And it's accumulated an impressive amount of success and feedback from that success as it continues to be adopted and expanded into more and more parts of the Blackbaud portfolio, and more external developers take advantage of it as well. As we keep expanding the scenarios and the features it supports, we learn more and more about the system's underpinnings and how the design choices made inside of the system start to stretch or show cracks over time. And we've gathered a ton of feedback, and a little while ago, we had the opportunity to chase down some of the core issues that we wanted to address in the visual design of SkyUX. Examples like this showcase a lot of the places where the expansion of our feature set and the way we needed to support expanding capabilities results in kind of a cluttered or divided appearance to the interface. Lots of lines and borders. And in other places, we see how the flat type system, the font system, doesn't differentiate well between different parts of the interface. It's too flat, it's too uniform. There's a very visually bland consequence. I don't mean bland in terms of an unappealing style. It's a blandness that lacks depth. It muddles content together. It hurts our ability to use visual design to direct attention or distinguish at a glance different portions of an interface, the different roles those portions have, the flow of a product or a feature. So to tackle this, we began a project to go at the atomic design elements of SkyUX at its visual core. And we built these ground up changes into things like the font system, where we used a wider range of font styles to differentiate the role of text more intuitively. We opened the font up in our iconography to add more space, reduce weight and density. And speaking of adding space, we began using a lot more margins, positioning, spacing, and other tricks. So we didn't have to rely so much on borders, lines, and separators to differentiate spaces and pieces of the experience. And we were able to step back from big blocks of saturated color in places and use color more subtly and try and apply that a little bit more judiciously to the experience. And we started applying all of these atomic changes into the design system and cascading the changes up into our component library and larger patterns. And we arrived at this vision for our design language and the tangible blocks that SkyUX is now built out of, the component library and our patterns and guidelines could now bring this new visual theme to life. And we found ourselves solving a lot of these problems around the lack of depth and the way we cluttered the interface with too much unnecessary detail and obscured the things that were valuable visual differentiators. But it turned out that that was the easy part, because that was kind of a thought exercise, an idea. And as often the case, the idea is kind of the easy part, and making it work is what's hard. Having a new way of building using SkyUX styles and the component library wasn't really going to benefit our internal or external customers, and it certainly wasn't going to benefit them very fast. The real challenge, what we really needed to crack, was to make this visual solution possible with the existing design system, make it possible to achieve the same benefits with the same set of Lego blocks that the old theme used. And that took a huge reconciliation effort. The new ways of defining things like space and layout and position that we used to craft the vision needed to be tuned and reworked to work in the same implementation as the old theme. We needed to bend the branches of the tree down to bring the benefits of modern theme as close to as many internal and external consumers as possible by offering it in a way they could grab it with the least stretching. And that reconciliation led us to this little control that you'll see on the SkyUX documentation site encapsulates everything that I'm most proud of about modern visual theme. The idea that all of the goodness and benefits of the visual redesign could just be turned on for a lot of our consumers. That it's not a fundamentally new or different design system. There's no need to take any project down to the studs to get the improvement. So now the benefits of modern visual theme turned out to be even more than we first set out to achieve. Obviously, the visual design advantages are a big step forward. We've updated a lot of the visual elements and the blandness from all the lessons we've learned over the years. We've made a lot of usability improvements at the same time. The system now has more consistent expressions of interaction and state, things that can be interacted with in the same way or can take on the same state, usually look a lot more alike than they used to. And perhaps most importantly, the new way we've formulated this visual design made it much more possible to stay up to date with evolving accessibility standards. And this default theme was going to really limit our ability to do that. The new modern theme design gives us a lot of advantages in keeping up to date with those standards, so we can continue to deliver good experiences for all of our users. Now, there's long-term benefits too that we also achieved here. By the process of reconciliation, we also made those structural changes to how SkyUX syntax works, how styles are applied, how components consume those styles. And what this is going to lead to long-term is the ability to support modular preferences in the experience and other benefits. We talk about things like dark mode or compact mode. I'm not here to have some big reveal where I can show you that today, but those things are now on the table in a way they never really were before. And one of the great things about these benefits is how now this cascades into the way SkyUX can support those themes at the same time and automatically. And Carrie's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Yeah, so as far as our automatic support, as Adam was saying, we've really built it into our existing component set. So there's not something you have to go and do to ground up or redo your applications that you've already built using SkyUX. All of the atomic styles that we previously had now just have different values for both themes. So it's as easy as ensuring that you're using SkyUX in the correct way, quote unquote. So making sure that you're not overriding classes or different visual elements at the component level, but instead making sure you're using that systemic value. In doing that, you'll make sure that you're actually able to switch between those themes. If you attended the session last year at BB Dev Days, we were hinting at modern visual theme, but we weren't yet ready to talk around that new styling. So we were saying, hey, make sure you're using the updated classes and you're using the new way of calling different elements. We'll have more for you later. Well, this is the more. Making sure that you had started using that last year enables you to start utilizing both visual themes now. And that also allows us to have apps or add-ins at the runtime display either theme. So there's not something we're having to tell them what you're doing. For add-ins example, they just display based on what the host application wants, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, if you want to go to the next slide. So as far as Blackbaud solution adoptions, I mentioned this in one of my previous sessions, you started to see modern visual theme kind of throughout some of our products, especially if you're a Blackbaud developer. If you have that developer account, you're seeing it inside your developer platform. You're seeing it inside the API docs, inside Marketplace, you're seeing it pop up. But then some of our products and new features we're building are also seeing that. So online giving, prospect insights, those are new features we've released over the last year or so. And we're starting to have that theme light up. Just like if any of you have older SkyUX applications that will need to update as far as some of the syntax being used, we also have that. So we'll continue updating it with inside of our existing products so that they can eventually get all the goodness that came out of that thought exercise around how could we do it from the ground up again. So you'll continue to see that, but what we're excited is that all new adoption with inside Blackbaud is using modern themes. So you'll continue to see new feature and functionality built out in modern theme, and we'll have that as needed adoption throughout our existing products. Next slide, Adam. And then as far as supporting the theme, so if you have a standalone application that's using SkyUX, if you maybe point to something with inside of one of our applications to open it up, or if you've just used SkyUX for your own application because it was the quick and easy way, which we do have folks out there who do, you're able to define the theme directly with inside of your application. We'll go over to the docs to see how to do that. And then for add-in developers, as I mentioned, as long as your add-in supports both themes, so you're using the correct syntax, the host service is actually going to define which theme your add-in will show in based on what the application that it's being hosted in. So if you actually have an add-in that's maybe used across multiple products in Blackbaud, then you're able to actually not have to worry about it. We'll worry about it based on the product that it's showing up in, asking for the right theme to show. And as far as the long-term support, so making sure as we have any updates on patterns or syntax, you can follow along to see if there's anything that you might need to do. Our GitHub repository and changelogs are great places for that, to see that. I think we're going to head over now to the documentation to kind of do a run through.
Yeah. Is my web browser visible?
It is. It's kind of
Perfect.
small. I don't know if you want to make it full screen.
Oh,
or
sure.
it'll kind of distort it, but
That's fine.
yeah.
Yeah, so like Carrie said, we've got some published instructions now on how supporting and adopting modern visual theme work in our documentation. And there's also some valuable lessons in here about how to explore the docs and use visual theme in the references that the docs resource provides. The announcement for modern visual theme will take you to some instructions, to some summary about a lot of the stuff I've just covered, the benefits, what it's for, a little bit of the background on it. And we have instructions on enabling it for different audiences. And if you're in the world of creating your own application, a standalone SPA, there's some pretty simple settings to adjust, some simple code to add that makes listening for the theme service in your application and then defining it, the theme you'd like your app to support or present, is a pretty straightforward set of instructions. For add-in developers, that's even easier. As long as you're on the latest version of SkyUX libraries and you're following our API documentation in the add-in service, the client will automatically detect the theme that the host is using, meaning that you'll get a consistent experience no matter where your add-in gets consumed. It can show as either theme. If two different host services are pulling your add-in into two different places and they're on a different adoption schedule, no problem. The add-in will automatically just adopt the theme that the host service tells it and transform easily enough. Now, some of the other things in the documentation to check out that the new switcher supports kind of reinforce this story around a single design system with two themes. So when navigating our component library, being able to switch between the two visual themes will change in real time. All of the live component demos, all of the illustrations and the guidelines, and everything works in real time back and forth between the two. Similar thing in a lot of the guideline and pattern documentation. In our guidelines around filtering lists, for example, there's no difference in the pattern or the recommendation depending on visual theme. The examples can just serve up what those tend to look like in those two different visual styles. Speaking of visual styles, and the one place where the content details are different in the themes is in the actual style declarations, the place where we talk about the raw values of the styling properties. So when looking at typography that SkyUX uses, all of the values that we define in the docs here for default theme will actually change in modern theme. So you'll see the actual result of that styling. Notice that the class or the way to invoke this style stays exactly the same between themes. The consequences or the value to use are what's different. And that's true for other things as well, like spacing, borders, colors, the different sort of atomic styling elements. And that's kind of it. The docs are here as a reference to browse the differences in the modern theme. You can see individual components. You can see patterns and guidelines. The presentation changes in the visual theme with a lot of those benefits we talked about, but it's the same design system. And if you're most up to date on it, you kind of get all the benefits for free. All right, and that's kind of it. I think we can turn it over to questions. We got a few minutes.
Oh, there I'm off. If anyone has any questions, feel free to add them into the chat and we'll hang out. And I know that there's another presentation starting up here in a little bit, but we can hang around.
Yeah, it's right at the top of the hour, so we have a few minutes.
Oh, perfect.
I, for one, love the way the subtle differences are so meaningful.
Thanks. It was definitely a team effort with a lot of the Sky UX team and a lot of the design team collaborating on a lot of those fundamental ground up changes. It's impressive what outsized benefit you can get from some pretty small changes from the design experience.
Yeah. I see a question around, does CRM benefit from this design? Yes, incrementally, and we'll see continued benefit. So right now, BBCRM we announced that donation forms, online giving, is now available to our CRM customers. So they will have an ability to navigate over into an experience that's fully quote unquote modern and has the new visual theme. So from that sense, yes, CRM is going to see the benefit of that design. And then as we have ongoing conversations around CRM and potential updates around visual styling, which I know those product managers are in conversations of and have talked to the community at large about, we'll see where that lands. But Sky UX is Blackbaud's move forward UX design system framework. And so whatever adoption happens there will be within the Sky UX framework. I believe BBCRM also has add-ins, if I'm not mistaken on that. Catherine might be able to know more about that. But from that perspective, obviously, any of the developer platform add-ins and functionality, or are they just on API?
I'm going to keep quiet.
Okay, we'll both plead the fifth.
Yes, need a product manager here for that.
Oh, there we go. We got. Oh, hey, Ben. Ben's like, nope. Thank you. There you go. Ben says no Sky add-ins yet. Yet. Love it.
Another question from Kevin, Carrie?
Yeah, might need Ben to answer that. So if they become available add-ins for CRM, will they be for Blackbaud hosted customers? Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, so updates to the UI, and I don't know if Sky API is similar and needs to be unhosted, but for the donation forms and online giving example I was sharing as far as CRM value, those do need to be Blackbaud hosted customers. That's how you enable having the omnibar within BBCRM that allows you to navigate between different capabilities and functionality that we can provide. And sorry, I just used internal language. Omnibar, for those of you maybe not familiar, is our top navigation that you will see across our products that has the product switcher in the top left and where you can like access your BBID profile on the right.